The gathering storm. In the vast expanse of the galaxy, darkness loomed over countless star systems, heralded by the relentless advance of the Ruther Empire. This formidable force, a terrifying amalgamation of biological engineering and advanced technology, had carved a path of destruction through civilizations that once thrived in peace. Entire worlds fell silent, their inhabitants either subjugated or annihilated, leaving behind only echoes of despair. Humanity, still grappling with its own burgeoning identity among the stars, found itself next on this merciless agenda. The coalition of human planets was a fragile alliance formed from desperation, a patchwork of colonies scattered across the outer rim. Each planet had its own culture and history, yet they were united by one common thread: survival against an overwhelming enemy. As reports flooded in detailing the Ruthers' latest conquests, hope began to dwindle. Earth itself had become a fortress under siege, its defenses strained to breaking point after years of conflict. In this bleak landscape emerged General Alex Harson, a figure both revered and reviled. His reputation was a double-edged sword. Tales of his brilliant military tactics were often overshadowed by whispers of ruthlessness that followed him like a shadow. Some hailed him as humanity's last hope, while others branded him a war criminal whose methods left devastation in his wake. Yet, in this hour of need, it was Harson who was summoned to lead what many believed would be humanity's final stand. Inside the war room aboard the flagship Resolute, tension crackled like static in the air. Holographic displays flickered with images of star systems marked in ominous red, each one representing a human colony that had fallen to Ruther forces. Officers stood around the table, their faces etched with worry as they absorbed the grim reality laid before them. "Sir," one officer began, his voice strained with urgency, "we can't hold them off any longer. If we don't retreat now, they'll breach our inner defenses within days." Harson's gaze was unwavering as he surveyed the map. He understood their fear but refused to succumb to despair. "That's what they expect us to do," he replied coolly. "If we retreat now, we're finished." He paused for effect, letting his words sink in before continuing with steely resolve. "We give them what they want, a tactical retreat, and draw them in." The officers exchanged glances filled with doubt and disbelief. "What you're suggesting is suicide," another officer protested vehemently. "They outnumber us 10-1. We won't survive a direct confrontation with their main fleet." "Survival is no longer our goal," Harson stated firmly, his voice echoing in the tense silence. "We destroy their leadership or we die trying." The room fell silent as his words hung heavily in the air. Each officer knew Harson's reputation. He had fought in trenches that should have claimed him long ago, and emerged victorious against insurmountable odds. Yet even they could not fathom the full extent of his plan, an intricate web spun from desperation and cunning. Thus began what would be known as the Ironclad Gambit. The following day marked a pivotal moment in this desperate struggle for survival. The coalition's remaining forces executed an orchestrated withdrawal from key defensive positions, abandoning outlying systems that had once served as bastions against their enemies. It appeared to be an act of surrender, a final retreat from an enemy that seemed invincible. But beneath this facade lay a carefully laid trap designed by Harson himself. As expected, the Ruther Empire pursued with ruthless efficiency, their ships slicing through space like predators drawn to easy prey. They pressed deeper into human territory, emboldened by their perceived victory over an enemy that appeared broken and defeated. Leading this calculated retreat was Harson aboard Resolute, flanked by loyal officers who understood that this was not merely an escape, but a strategic maneuver meant to lure their foes into a deadly snare. As human ships moved erratically through space, dodging skirmishes and leading alien fleets deeper into uncharted territories, Harson prepared for what he had kept hidden even from his closest allies, a devastating final gambit that could turn the tide against their oppressors. Meanwhile, aboard one such ship within Harson's fleet was Mia Chen, a young pilot whose dreams were woven from tales of heroism and valor inspired by General Harsin himself. She had trained tirelessly for this moment, her heart racing at the thought of fighting alongside legends she had only heard about in stories. Mia gazed out at the stars through her cockpit window, feeling both excitement and anxiety coursing through her veins. She had always admired Harsin's audacity, but wondered if this gamble would pay off or lead them all to ruin. As Resolute continued its strategic withdrawal into deeper space, Maya steeled herself for whatever lay ahead, knowing that every decision made now could either save humanity or seal its fate forever. The stage was set for an epic confrontation between two opposing forces, the cunning humans led by General Alex Harsin and the relentless Ruther Empire determined to crush any remnants of resistance left among them. In this gathering storm where hope clashed with despair, every heartbeat resonated with anticipation for what would come next, a moment that would define not just humanity's survival, but its very essence amidst chaos and destruction. The Ironclad Gambit. As the Coalition's remaining forces executed their tactical withdrawal, the atmosphere aboard the flagship Resolute was thick with anticipation and tension. General Alex Harsin stood at the helm, his eyes fixed on the holographic display that illuminated the darkened war room. The Ruther Empire's ships, vast and menacing, loomed ever closer, their relentless pursuit a testament to their confidence. They believed they had cornered their prey, unaware that they were being led into a carefully orchestrated trap. The calm before the storm. The crew of the Resolute moved with a sense of urgency, each member acutely aware of the stakes at hand. Mia Chen, a young pilot who had idolized Harsin for years, felt a mix of excitement and dread as she prepared her fighter for deployment. She had trained tirelessly for this moment, but the reality of war weighed heavily on her shoulders. "Are you ready?" her wingman, Lieutenant Sam Reyes, asked as he adjusted his flight suit. Mia nodded, though her heart raced. "I've been ready for this my whole life," she replied, trying to sound confident. As they suited up and boarded their fighters, Mia couldn't shake the feeling that this mission would change everything. She glanced back at the Resolute, its hull gleaming under the artificial lights, a symbol of hope in a galaxy filled with despair. The deceptive retreat. The Coalition's strategy was deceptively simple. Feigned retreat while drawing the Ruther forces into an ambush. Harsin had calculated every move meticulously, knowing that overconfidence could be their greatest ally. As human ships scattered across the stars in erratic patterns, it appeared to be a chaotic withdrawal, a desperate act from a beaten enemy. But beneath this facade lay a dangerous game of cat and mouse. Harsin had deployed hidden fleets positioned in strategic locations to flank the Ruther forces once they ventured too far into human territory. The plan hinged on timing and precision. Any miscalculation could spell disaster. "Remember your training," Harsin's voice echoed through the comms as Mia and her fellow pilots took to the skies. "Stay sharp and trust your instincts. We're not just fighting for survival, we're fighting for our future." The first engagement. As they entered combat space, Mia felt adrenaline surge through her veins. The vastness of space was punctuated by flashes of laser fire as Ruther ships engaged Coalition fighters. The first skirmish erupted with ferocity. Mia maneuvered her ship with precision, dodging enemy fire while returning shots with deadly accuracy. "Watch your six," Sam shouted over the comms as a Ruther fighter closed in on Mia's tail. She executed a sharp turn, using her ship's agility to outmaneuver her pursuer before unleashing a volley of laser fire that sent it spiraling into oblivion. "Nice shot," Sam cheered, but there was little time to celebrate. More Ruther ships were entering the fray, their numbers overwhelming. Harsin's hidden weapon. Back aboard Resolute, Harsin monitored the battle from his command center. He could see how this plan was unfolding. The Ruther forces were becoming increasingly aggressive, believing victory was within their grasp. He knew that soon they would cross into the area where his hidden fleets awaited. "Prepare to activate the stealth ships," he ordered his tactical officer, Commander Ilara Voss. "Once they're in position, we strike." Ilara nodded, her fingers dancing over controls as she relayed commands to other ships in their fleet. "We'll need precise timing to catch them off guard." As moments ticked by like hours, Harson felt a mix of hope and anxiety brewing within him. This was not just about tactics. It was about instilling belief in his people that they could still win against insurmountable odds. The turning point. Finally, as Ruther ships surged deeper into human territory, Harson gave the command. "Now, activate stealth mode." A series of cloaked human vessels emerged from their hiding spots like phantoms in the night. They unleashed a barrage of fire upon the unsuspecting Ruther fleet, catching them completely off guard. Explosions lit up space as enemy ships began to crumble under the unexpected assault. Mia watched in awe as her fellow pilots rallied around their hidden allies. "This is it," she shouted into her comms as she dove back into battle alongside Sam. The tide began to turn. Coalition fighters swarmed around Ruther ships like bees attacking an intruder. Maya felt a surge of exhilaration as she engaged multiple enemies at once, each victory fueling her determination. A moment of triumph. As chaos erupted around them, Harson observed from Resolute, his heart pounding with adrenaline and pride. His plan was working, against all odds. Humanity was fighting back. "Push forward. Don't let up," he commanded over the comms as he watched his fleet exploit every weakness in the Ruther formation. The battle raged on for what felt like hours, each moment filled with danger and uncertainty. But slowly it became clear that humanity was gaining ground. The Ruther Empire's arrogance had blinded them to their vulnerability. Consequences of victory. But victory came at a cost. As explosions lit up space and enemy ships fell one by one, Mia felt a pang of sorrow for every life lost, both human and alien alike. War was brutal and unforgiving. Even amidst triumph, there were echoes of loss that would haunt them all. "Stay focused," Sam reminded her as they regrouped after taking down several enemy fighters together. "We can't let our guard down now." Mia nodded but couldn't shake off the weight of what they were doing. Each fallen ship represented lives shattered by conflict, a reminder that even in war's darkest moments, humanity needed to strive for something greater than mere survival. Preparing for what lies ahead. As night fell across space and battles continued to rage on different fronts, Harson knew this was only the beginning. Though they had gained an initial advantage against the Ruther Empire today, he understood that true victory would require more than just tactical brilliance. It would demand unity among humanity itself. Back on Resolute, he gathered his officers once more after the battle subsided for a brief moment of respite. "We've won today," he said firmly but somberly. "But we must prepare ourselves for what lies ahead. The Ruther will not take this lightly. They will retaliate." His words resonated deeply among those present. Everyone understood that while one battle may have been won, an entire war still loomed ahead, one that would test their resolve like never before. In this moment of reflection amidst chaos and uncertainty lay hope, the flickering flame ignited by courage and resilience against overwhelming odds. A promise that humanity would rise again, no matter how dark things became. As Maya looked out at stars twinkling above through her cockpit window after returning from battle, a glimmering reminder of dreams yet unfulfilled, she vowed silently. They would not only fight, but thrive against whatever challenges awaited them next in this relentless struggle for survival against an empire determined to extinguish their light forevermore. The heart of darkness. As the echoes of victory from the recent skirmish faded, a heavy silence settled over the coalition forces. The initial thrill of triumph was quickly overshadowed by the grim reality of war. General Alex Harson knew this was merely a fleeting moment in a much larger conflict. The Ruther Empire would not take their losses lightly. They would retaliate with ferocity. A fragile alliance. The coalition was a fragile alliance, held together by desperation rather than unity. Each member planet had its own agenda, its own fears and hopes. As they gathered in the war room of Resolute, tension crackled like static electricity. Officers from various planets exchanged wary glances, their trust in one another hanging by a thread. General Harson, Commander Ilara Voss began, her voice steady despite the uncertainty in her eyes. What's our next move? We gained some ground, but the rudder will regroup and come back stronger. Harson nodded, acknowledging her concern. We need to press our advantage while we can. We've shown them that we can fight back, but we must also prepare for their counterattack. He turned to the holographic display, which now showed the positions of both the Coalition and Rudder fleets. We'll need to fortify our defenses and gather intelligence on their movements. I want scouts deployed immediately. The heart of darkness. As the echoes of victory from the recent skirmish faded, a heavy silence settled over the Coalition forces. The initial thrill of triumph was quickly overshadowed by the grim reality of war. General Alex Harson knew this was merely a fleeting moment in a much larger conflict. The Ruther Empire would not take their losses lightly. They would retaliate with ferocity. A fragile alliance. The Coalition was a fragile alliance, held together by desperation rather than unity. Each member planet had its own agenda, its own fears and hopes. As they gathered in the war room of Resolute, tension crackled like static electricity. Officers from various planets exchanged wary glances, their trust in one another hanging by a thread. General Harson, Commander Ilara Voss began, her voice steady despite the uncertainty in her eyes. What's our next move? We've gained some ground, but the rudder will regroup and come back stronger. Harson nodded, acknowledging her concern. We need to press our advantage while we can. We've shown them that we can fight back, but we must also prepare for their counterattack. He turned to the holographic display, which now showed the positions of both the Coalition and Ruther fleets. We'll need to fortify our defenses and gather intelligence on their movements. I want scouts deployed immediately. The young pilot's resolve. Among those present was Mia Chen, the young pilot who had fought bravely in the recent battle. She felt a mix of pride and anxiety as she listened to the discussions around her. This was her chance to prove herself, not just as a pilot, but as a crucial part of humanity's resistance. General, Maya spoke up, her voice steady despite her youth. I want to volunteer for scouting missions. I can gather intel on Ruther movements. Harson turned to her, surprised but impressed by her eagerness. It's dangerous out there. Mia, you'll be flying into enemy territory. I understand the risks, she replied firmly. But I want to help. We need every advantage we can get. After a moment's hesitation, Harson nodded. Very well. You'll lead a small team for reconnaissance. Stay sharp and report back quickly. Mia felt a surge of determination as she accepted her mission. This was her moment to shine, to show that humanity could stand tall against their oppressors. The dark void. As Mia prepared for her mission, she couldn't shake off the feeling of dread that hung over them, all like a dark cloud. The vastness of space felt more ominous than ever before, each star twinkling like distant memories of hope lost. She boarded her fighter alongside two other pilots, Lieutenant Sam Reyes and Ensign Clara Jansen, both seasoned veterans who had seen their share of battles. Ready for this? Sam asked as they strapped into their seats. More than ready, Maya replied, forcing a smile despite the anxiety churning in her stomach. As they launched into space, the familiar hum of engines filled her with both excitement and fear. They were entering the heart of darkness, a region where Ruther ships prowled like predators searching for prey. A dangerous game. The scouting mission took them deeper into enemy territory than any human had dared to venture recently. As they navigated through asteroid fields and debris from past battles, Mia's heart raced with anticipation. Keep your eyes peeled, Clara warned over the comms. Ruther ships could be lurking anywhere. Suddenly, their sensors blared an alarm. A Ruther patrol was approaching fast. Maya's instincts kicked in as she maneuvered her ship behind an asteroid for cover. They're scanning for us, Sam shouted, his voice tense with urgency. Mia held her breath as she watched through her cockpit window. The Ruther ships were massive and intimidating, their sleek designs glinting menacingly in the starlight. "Let's wait for them to pass," Clara suggested quietly. But as they watched, something unexpected happened. One of the Ruther ships began to break off from its formation and head directly toward their hiding spot. A split-second decision. "We can't stay here," Mia exclaimed, adrenaline coursing through her veins. "We have to move." With no time to waste, she initiated evasive maneuvers just as the Ruther ship drew nearer. They darted away from their hiding place, narrowly avoiding detection. "Split up," Sam commanded over the comms as they veered off in different directions to confuse their pursuers. Mia felt fear gripping her heart as she raced through space alone, adrenaline fueling her every move. She could hear the distant thrum of engines behind her. The Ruther were hot on her tail. The chase was intense. Mia pushed her ship to its limits as she dodged laser fire from behind. Her heart pounded in rhythm with the thrumming engines as she navigated through treacherous asteroid fields and debris clouds. "Stay focused," Sam's voice crackled through the comms amidst the chaos. Mia gritted her teeth and tightened her grip on the controls. She could do this. She had trained for moments like these. With a quick glance at her radar, she spotted an opening, a narrow passage through an asteroid cluster that could lead to safety. "Going for it," she shouted, not waiting for confirmation. She dove into the passage at breakneck speed, narrowly avoiding collision with jagged rocks on either side. Behind her, she could hear explosions as Ruther ships collided with obstacles in their pursuit. A narrow escape. Just when it seemed like all hope was lost, Mia burst out into open space, breathless and exhilarated. She quickly activated her comms to check on Sam and Clara. "Are you two all right?" "We made it," Clara replied breathlessly, but with relief evident in her tone. Mia felt a rush of triumph wash over her. They had escaped. But there was no time to celebrate. They needed to gather intel before returning home. Gathering intelligence. Once they were clear of immediate danger, Mia activated their scanning equipment and began analyzing data on Ruther fleet movements. What she found sent chills down her spine. Massive troop deployments were being organized at several key locations across human space. "This isn't good," Sam said grimly as he reviewed the data alongside Mia. "They're preparing for something big," Clara added with worry etched across her face. Mia's heart sank at the implications. If they didn't act quickly, entire colonies could be wiped out before humanity even had a chance to respond. The return. With urgency coursing through them all, they decided it was time to return to Resolute and report their findings. As they flew back through space together, now bonded by shared danger, Maya felt a sense of purpose ignite within her. They would not let fear dictate their actions. Humanity would stand united against this threat. As Resolute came into view on the horizon, a beacon amidst darkness, Mia knew that this was just one small step towards reclaiming what had been lost. Together with General Harson and their fellow fighters, they would forge ahead into whatever lay ahead, ready to face even greater challenges in this relentless struggle against an empire determined to crush them all. In that moment of determination amidst uncertainty lay hope, the flickering flame ignited by courage and resilience against overwhelming odds. A promise that humanity would rise again, no matter how dark things became in this relentless struggle for survival against an empire determined to extinguish their light forevermore.